Jurassic Park, conveniently enough, happens to be my favorite movie of all time. I love this thing. Used to love it as a kid, and still love it to this day. So, naturally, when I was younger, I owned one of the many Jurassic Park games released for the various consoles. Mine, for example, was for the Sega Genesis. There were a lot of Jurassic Park games, and fortunately for me, the Genesis version is widely considered to be one of the better ones. I say better, and that's not really saying much, because most of the other ones were plagued by bad designs, or just horrible, I don't even know how to describe this one, actually. Anyway, but the Genesis one is pretty decent. But let's take an honest look before we get too ahead of ourselves here. The main plot is that you play as Alan Grant, and your car gets destroyed by the Tyrannosaurus. Sound familiar? That's because it is. The difference here is that, well, actually, there's a lot of differences. What am I talking about? The developers took some insane liberties when it comes to Jurassic Park's story. You can kind of see the references, and you can see that you're in the same kind of environment, but there's no supporting cast. It's just you as Alan Grant and dinosaurs in a jungle. That's really all you're dealing with. So no John Hammond, no Ian Malcolm, it's just straight up action platforming, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. The lack of story really does help to flush out the gameplay some more and give the developer more room to work. It really is just about running around and blasting dinosaurs with things like stun guns, tasers, smoke grenades, the works. Oddly, nothing you use is lethal to the dinosaurs. I always found that a bit bizarre, especially later in the game when you can actually get rocket launchers and it still doesn't outright kill them. I always thought that was weird, but, you know, whatever. The graphics and the music are pretty good, too. The music fits the game, and the sound effects work great for, well, really everything they're centered around, and the graphics look pretty good. I can tell I'm playing as Alan Grant. The sprite looks like him. He's wearing the same clothing that he wore in the movie. So I really have no complaints there. Where my complaints start is with the gameplay itself. There's just some nagging issues that drive me up the wall. For the most part, the controls are fairly responsive, and the platforming is decent, but the problem is it can be very difficult to plan your jumps correctly. Some of the later levels have these insane jumps, and by insane, not that they're long distances, because you're in really awkward positioning. You can fall in bottomless pits and die horribly, just because it's really hard to time your jumps correctly. Another problem is that the game is really centered around trial and error, which is very strange for a platformer. I prefer games that I play to make me feel like it could have been possible for me to beat the game in one go. You know, the chances are limited, but, you know, the idea that it would have been possible should be there. Here, however, the game is almost unrelentless in this thing that it does, where you almost have to have played the game before to memorize the locations of things to avoid damage. Like, I'm sorry, the first time I played this, I didn't know you were supposed to jump to avoid slamming into these spikes. You just don't know that stuff. And there's a lot of scripted events that happen that you really have to be able to plan for ahead of time. So this game is basically centered around multiple playthroughs, and that's fine. It's a fun game to play, but I just don't like the idea that there's all sorts of traps, and it's mainly based around memorization than anything. I know some of this footage makes it look like that I'm playing the game really well. I've been playing the game since I was 4 years old. I have memorized like a blueprint most of the first few levels, so it's really easy for me, but for a first-time player, the first level is going to be an absolute nightmare. Plus, Grant can't take that much damage. You get hit with something, it does a pretty big chunk in your life, and damage from things like spikes stacks, and stacks hard. I will say, though, that the game did a really good job in giving you a wide variety of dinosaurs to face. There's velociraptors, there's dilophosauruses, there's even the T-Rex, there's pterodactyls, there's even the little compy things which didn't even appear in the first movie. There's also triceratops and brachiosauruses, so overall a really nice mix-up of different dinosaurs that you could see in the movie, and even one you didn't see in the movie. You didn't see compies until the second movie. I will say, though, that the game, and this is going back to that trial and error thing I mentioned, is just brutal when it comes to its difficulty. It's not really unbelievably oh my god hard, but it's still such a ridiculous challenge that, honestly, I've only ever gotten through the whole game once, and even then the final boss whooped my sorry ass both times I got through it. It's not even so much that the game's combat is difficult. difficult, the combat's really easy. If you're using red dot darts the whole time, you'll probably get through and no problem. Occasionally, maybe switching to gas grenades to deal with Triceratops into your Tyrannosaurus. It's the platforming that's going to kill you all the damn time. Health pickups can range from very frequent to almost never. So, an enemy might get you on accident just because you can't find any health to pick up. That's only compelled by the fact that you're going to be falling all the time and taking fall damage. That happens more times than I care to count in this game, and that is honestly the most frustrating part. The memorization really comes into play when it comes to this fall damage. You have to remember where's a good place to jump down and where isn't. And the third level is unbelievably based on memorization, because it's all about blind waterfalls. Some of these waterfalls, you can't figure out which ones you can go down without just blind guessing. And that's some bullshit, too, because a lot of them will kill you immediately. So, again, there's more trial and error involved. In the fourth level, oh, don't get me started with this bullshit. The platforming here is such a royal pain in the ass because the ceilings are almost always way too low. You will die all the time just because you can't time your jumps properly or you smack your head off the ceiling. I can't tell you how frustrating that is. I mean, I guess I can't bitch too much because the game has a fairly generous password system.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please! God damn it! I hate this hacking crap.
Which always lets you pick which level to start back up from. There are no checkpoints within the levels, so you always start from the beginning anyway, regardless of how many lives you have. So I guess as long as you write down the passwords, which aren't that long, you'll have basically infinite lives and infinite chances to beat the game. So I can't complain too much, but good lord. The game just feels relentless sometimes. Some of the levels get really weird too. Like, for example, after the jungle you go into the power station. This makes sense. And then you go to the river into the pump station. Again, I can kind of see that being on Isla Nublar, which is the island from Jurassic Park in case you didn't know. Then you go to a canyon, okay, and then an active volcano. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was on the island. When was that brought into the plot? It was just the developer just being insane, I guess, or just wanting a different kind of level, and I can kind of understand that. The last level was the visitor center, which is pretty straightforward. There's a ton of dinosaurs in here, though, and the final bosses, those two raptors, are a royal pain in the ass because they're invincible. No, seriously, they're invincible. You can't kill them with your weapons. I'm not telling you how to beat them, but it's not shooting them, just to save you some time. So don't even try to do that. I just wanted to let you know. It always confused me, too. I'm sorry. I'm hitting these raptors in the face with a million sleeping darts and rocket launchers. I expect them to go down eventually, but not these ones. Whatever. It makes no sense, but whatever. Oh, this is as good a time as any to mention that there's an optional character in this game. You could also play as the Velociraptor, which was kind of unexpected. It's a bizarre choice, but, you know, hey, I'm fine with that idea. But the raptor controls really awkwardly. His jumps are so bizarre. Actually, shouldn't I be saying her? Because all the dinosaurs were female? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the raptor's jumping is really awkward and you have to get used to. It just jumps so far and stupidly high too that, again, the memorization really comes into play here. You have to know where to land your jumps, and good luck with the fucking pump station as the raptor. What a pain in the ass that was. You thought that was a pain in the ass as Grant. Holy shit. The raptor requires such precise jumping here. It's so ridiculous. The raptor's also missing 2 levels, which I thought was a little bit weird, but I guess it makes sense. The river level I understood because, I'm sorry, it's almost laughable, the concept of seeing a raptor floating down a river in a speedboat. The volcano I'm not sure why they left out, but whatever, I don't really care. And the final boss as the raptor is Grant, who apparently is an unstoppable armament of never-ending fuck you weapons. Again, he's invincible too, which really confuses me, but you know, whatever. Again, you don't beat him by attacking him, so don't think to do that. And again, I'm not telling you how to win. But despite minor complaints, despite the memorization issues, and despite the fact that the game really could have been better in some areas, this is one of the best examples of a good Jurassic Park game, and a good movie game. It's fun to play. Yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes, but, you know, it's still fun. The combat's still enjoyable, it's fun running around shooting dinosaurs, and the platforming is decent enough to keep you occupied. For a movie game, I'd say it's great, and really, I can't say it's a bad game. It's honestly a really good one, and if you have a Genesis, I strongly recommend getting it, especially if you're a fan of Jurassic Park. And so, with that, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.